Alright, so to put in an SN102 door mounted controller, this is a quick shot of the template. You can see here it says top in big bold lettering on the top of it. That's just to identify that you've got the right, that you've placed it on the door in the right orientation. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is insert the supplied protective shield for the electronics inside. Close the panel back up so it's secure, and you don't have to fight with it moving around. Okay, before you apply your template for the holes, you're going to want to mark a 8-inch line vertically measured from the outside right side of the cabinet from the edge of the door. So 8 inches in, you'll draw a line. Next, you're going to put the template on the door. The top edge of the page will line up on the edge of the door. You'll line it up horizontally in the window section using the line you drew, and attach the label using the magnets supplied. You can shuffle the page around with the magnets to make sure everything's lined up before you commit to punching any of the holes. Alright, center punch 8 holes on the plate. 4 of the outside holes are used for mounting the card. The 4 inside holes are used for making the clearance for the controls mounted to the card.
The fun cutter.
What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many penalties.
Is that a commercial?
Well, Arnold checking in on us. Once you've punched all your holes, you can remove your template and put it to the side. After you remove your template, identify your locations so that you're sure that the holes are drilled accordingly and you don't punch the wrong holes the wrong size.
I'm doing the 4 inside holes right there, because that's a dot, 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 and dot. Okay.
Alright, for drilling out the large holes to make room for the nibbler, you want to use a slow drill somewhere between 500 and 600 RPM.
Right. And we put a little bit of cutting oil on the bit. I just spin it like that, and I'm ready to go. That goes on that guy.
Repeat for the next 3 holes. Reapply lubricant for the cutting tool after every hole you make.
And we're back onto the hole.
One thing you want to consider before you put the holes in the door is removing the manual's pocket off the door so it doesn't interfere with the cutting.
We do.
Once you've punched your 4 corner holes, you're going to outline your cutting edge for the nibbler. You line up your tape across the outside edges of the holes, and that will be what you follow when you nibble out the center section.
Use good tape.
Yeah, very important that you want to use a decent roll of masking tape for this. Otherwise, you'll spend a lot of time fighting with the tape. Painter's tape will also be acceptable.
Frog green.
The Frogger green.
Close cuts.
Using the masking tape to provide your tracking line for the nibbler is the best approach. If we had a fixture for you to follow with the tool, you'd find it would bind up along the fixture and not give you a clean path for the cutter. Once you've applied the tape, you're going to follow around the tape edge and apply lubricant for the cutter to follow along. This lubricant should be something of a cutting lubricant. For tapping fluid would be fine. WD-40 is not acceptable for this application. Okay, so before we start, you want to just make sure your cutter is well lubricated. You don't need it dripping off of the cutter, but you want to make sure that there is lubricant on there before you start each panel.
Okay, so this is the baby here. You will be following this tooth. It's like a jigsaw type tooth or skill saw. Is your alignment. That little block you see right there on top is your how much it cuts out. So whatever's there disappears in that line of fire.
Yeah. To get used to the cutter for your first pass, it might be a good idea to just take a random slice into the first plate. Out here, take a shot into this area just to give you an idea of how it's going to behave.
It should actually go one hole to the other, make it easy for them to get out. It does not like to back up.
Yeah, this tool does not like to back up, so once you start your cutting in a direction, you want to finish off with the next plate.
That's because of the burr that we got on the inside. Just give me a hard time.
Okay. So it probably is a good idea to deburr the holes that you make for your entry and exit for the cutting tool, and that'll help you start your cutting pass and finish your cutting pass between points. So the next step is to just take the edge off the hole, just to make sure it's a little safer for you as a worker, that you don't cut yourself. This tool can also be used to deburr the holes before you use the nibbler, and that'll help the nibbler enter and exit the metal better.
And the RPM on the drill is about 1700 RPM or 3000.
This is their standard issue plug-in wall drill, 3/8 chuck. You now have a hole ready for the controller. The last few steps here are now to remove the tape and drill the clearance holes for the mounting hardware of the plate. Ideally, you don't want to leave the masking tape on any longer than you have to. If you leave the tape on for 3 or 4 days, you may have trouble getting it off. So it's good that if you're going to mask out a panel that day, you should cut it as well. Next, you're going to drill the clearance holes for the 1032 hardware to mount the plate. There are 4 of these holes on the plate.
There. Like that healthy, eh? Done.
Okay. Next, before you move on to clean up the panel, it's a good idea to deburr the holes you just cleared. After that, you can vacuum out the panel and move on to your next location. After you've finished drilling your holes and deburred the door, you can see that the cardboard cover has protected everything inside. All your shrapnel should be down in the bottom lip of the panel.
What's the matter? The CIA got
And should be easy to continue clearing out. Thank you.
Stuff in the corner, but because he left it there.
So, once you've cut your hole in your door and you've cleaned out your panel, you're going to install the plate to seal the panel and make it that you can still use it temporarily on the existing control system. The plate gets mounted with 4 1032 button head screws with nylock lock nuts. Install your mounting hardware in the 4 corners first, finger tight, before tightening the screws up with the Allen wrench and 3/8 wrench
Or socket. Whatever.
or socket. It's important that as you mount the card that you don't damage the actual controller and you're careful when handling it.
Considering it's the most expensive part of the job.
It is good practice with working in the grid not to drop your materials, as you could hurt someone. When you're done, your motion controller is mounted and you're ready to move on to the next panel.